In the last video, we'll be covering progress and performance measurement and evaluation. And theory for this part you'll find in chapter 13 of your textbook. And I strongly suggest you systematically go through theory, especially after 13.4, development of an earned value cost schedule system, and then everything after up until the end of this chapter 13. There's lots of definitions, as you have seen in your lectures as well. And particularly table 13.3 is very important. So try not to memorize it, because you will not achieve much in your task by memorizing it. You have to understand the meaning of every definition. So I'll go through it quickly so we are better equipped to do some quantitative problems. We firstly start off as a planned value, and a planned value is given to you in a time-phased budget that we covered in previous videos, where cost is actually scheduled. So we plan how a work is going to be earned at certain points of time, and we award value in terms of dollars and schedule it in a time-phased cost schedule. So that's your baseline cost schedule where we start from, and that's the place where we read our plan value. So that happened. So all this data on a plan value we get from the planning phase. So remember, there are 5 basic group processes in project management. Planning is the second one. And now we are in the 4th one, which is monitoring and controlling. What do we do in monitoring and controlling? We are comparing our actual how we are going in our project with everything that we planned in a planning phase. So that's why here we are starting with a planned value, and once again you read it from the baseline cost schedule or time phased cost schedule that we covered in previous videos and will be using in problems for EVA analysis. Then we have a budget at completion. That's again a number or budget or value that we have developed in our planning phase. So that's the budget that we estimated. Remember, we get the information on the cost of every activity. Summing up the cost of every activity, we get a cost of work packages. Then we add a cost of work packages in one cost account, and we get a cost of one cost account. And then we sum up all cost accounts and get the budget for the total project. So that's basically another planned value. And all we do next is compare our actual with what we determined in the planning phase. So actual cost, AC, is the actual cost. That's actual money that we are paying for the work performed. This is what we plan at every certain point of time in our project by time units, and this is what we are actually paying. And then we have earn value. That's the percentage of task completed times its original budget. Okay, so we've got the total budget of an activity. Let's say that's $100. Activity is happening over 4 weeks, for example. At a certain point of time, we have completed 50% of that activity. So what's the earned value? How much of that task we have earned? We've earned 50% times the total budget for that activity, which is $100, which is $50. Okay, don't worry if you still don't understand this, because we'll go through problems and it will get much easier. So these are the basic terms. And now we can talk about variances. So this is generally the basic method of comparison of what's actually happening and what we've been planning. So the first, we describe cost variance and schedule variance. What's the cost variance? Cost variance is simply the difference between our earned value and how much we've been actually paying, actual cost. So earned value minus actual cost. And then we get the absolute number. So we get how much in dollars we are over budget or we are under budget. If we get a positive number, we are under budget. If we get a negative number, we are over budget. But these cost and schedule variances are absolute numbers in terms of dollars that can be both negative or positive. And from there, we read, are we below or under or over budget? Are we on schedule or we are exceeding schedule? But we actually get the exact numbers of how much we are over budget at any certain point of time. And then another similar variance is a schedule variance. So that compares the work that should have been done at this time to the amount of actually completed. So we compare earned value, how much we earned thus far, and how much we plan to earn at that point of time. Because remember, planned value happens over time. It's scheduled over time. So we have to look for the exact moment to compare the two. Again, if you don't understand, we'll go through problems. Then we have some relative measurements, and these are the cost indexes. So these are the relative values where we actually compare earned value and actual cost. Remember before, cost variance was, let's go back, cost variance was earned value minus actual value. So we were getting absolute numbers. But here, cost performance index is earned value over actual cost. So that's a relative number that can be less than 1, equal to 1, or over 1. So if it's more than 1, then we're under budget. If it's less than 1, we are over budget. Or if it's equal to 1, then we are right on budget. But what does this index actually tell you? Similar with the schedule performance index. It's just a comparison of earned value over planned value. It can be less or equal to 1 or more than 1. This index is actually talking about efficiency. And the first one, CPI, is actually measuring cost efficiency. So for every dollar that we planned, how much value are we getting? If we're getting 60 cents for every dollar we're paying, we're obviously over budget. If we're getting $1.2 for every dollar we pay, we are under budget. We're doing really, really well. So, okay, please do not see these relative indexes or performance indexes as the rate of performance. They are efficiency. They're just comparing efficiency or giving you the overview of efficiency at a certain point of time. So only at that point of time. So that's why we're talking about efficiency here. Only for the tasks that are undergoing, not the tasks that have been completed. Read here. So when the task or project is complete, SPI is equal 1, regardless if a project is completed late or early. So it's only looking at that certain point of time that you are at in your project. However, we can then go to percent complete indexes. These are a little bit different. Again, they are relative indexes, but they're not talking about efficiency at the point of time. They're talking about performance rate. Percentage rate, performance rate. Because why? They're comparing earned value with the total budget for the total project. So only when you compare earned value with the total budget for the complete project, you can get performance rate. This index is a slightly different because this one is working with a budgeted cost. So that's the cost we planned in our planning stage. Or this one, if we change this budgeted cost to expected at completion, it's a little bit different. So it really depends. Do we trust our budget? If we trust our budget and we have to come on budget, we work with the first one. If we had to change our original plan budget, then and calculate another one, then obviously we have to work with the second one. But in any case, it's important that you remember that percent complete index measures performance rate because it's comparing your earned value with the total budget for the whole projects. So that's very important. And then we have estimated to complete, estimate at completion, and variance at completion. But to explain that, it's probably better to go to the slide or to a picture from your textbook. I think it's figure 13.4 in chapter 13, cost schedule graph. You can also find it in a lecture slides. So here we see everything what's happening. So this middle line is what we plan. So this is our plan value, and if we continue this plan value all the way to the end, we'll get budget at completion. We'll see later on in our baseline budget, if we add all of the plan values, the cumulative final one is the total budget. So the total plan value, when you add them up, you get budget for the whole project. So this middle line is actually our plan. And then see what's happening. We are at this point of time, so this is today. And this line here is showing how much we actually spent. This is our actual cost. So what did we say? Earned value minus actual cost, we get a cost variance. Sorry, I didn't show the earned value here. So the bottom line, this dotted line at the bottom, is our earned value. This is our point of time. So firstly, cost variance is earned value minus actual cost. It's going to be negative because actual cost is higher than our earned value. And again, at this point of time, this is our planned value. So when we subtract earned value minus planned value, we get schedule variance. Again, it's going to be negative because our planned value is more than what we have earned, what we have achieved thus far. If we continue this line for the actual cost all the way to the end, so we just project the trend all the way to the end of the project, we will get this actual at completion. It's very easy to read these acronyms, to remember acronyms if you know the meaning. So EAC is actual at completion. So if we continue, what does it mean if we continue? So if we don't do anything to correct this situation, because in this instance we've got both negative schedule value and schedule variance and cost variance. If we don't correct anything, obviously we're going to be in trouble. And if we continue by going by this trend, our actual cost at the end of the project will be more than budget at our completion. So the difference between two is actually VAC, or variance at completion. And I'll just go here. So budget at completion minus actual estimated at completion is a variance at completion. We can also calculate what's the estimate to complete. And this is the formula. I'm not going to go through it. It's a simple geometry problem. You can find this formula in your textbooks. So just compare the formula with this picture and it will be crystal clear to you. If we continue to the next slide, and that picture is also in your textbook, that's the figure 13.5, earn value review exercise. You can see four possibilities. So in the first one, actual cost is more than earned value and a planned value is more than earned value. So both variances are negative because earned value is here at the bottom. That's exactly like this one here before. Then the second one, earned value is in the middle. Actual cost is more, what means we're paying more than what we are earning at this point of time. So this is the point of time, this cross line. That means cost variance will be negative. However, earned value is higher than a planned value, greater. So the schedule variance will be positive. Then we have the third possibility where earned value is greater than both actual cost and a planned value. So both variances will be positive. And then we have the fourth possibility where planned value is greater than earned value, but actual cost is lower. So the cost variance will be positive, but the schedule variance will be negative. So we've got four possibilities. And before we start doing any problems, once again, I'm asking you to review all the definitions, to know definitions before you start doing any computational problems. So for today, we'll do two tasks, and both tasks you can find in your textbook at the back of chapter 13. So the first one is task number 3, problem number 3, where network is given to you, okay, and it's a full network, and then you have a project baseline also given to you. Baseline is something that we developed in previous video, and we taught how to read in a previous video. So if you haven't watched that, I would recommend watching it. That's chapter 8. Watching it before you start doing EVA analysis problems. Task 3 reads like, given the project network and baseline information below, complete a form to develop a status report for the project at the end of period 4. So it's very important to realize what period we are looking at, what period of time. Obviously, this project lasts up to 15 days or 15 periods, and we are looking at the status report at the end of period 4 and the end of period 8. From the data you have collected and computed for period 4 and 8, what you're prepared to say to your customer. So that's the network, and this is, I'll just make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is the network that will live here, and this is your project baseline. Okay, we've got all activities listed here just like in your network. We've got duration of these activities. We've got early start, late finish, slack, and a budget. This is the total budget for your activity, for each of your activities given. That must be given to you because that's something we determine in our planning phase. So it's not something you can calculate. It has to be given to you. And then we distribute this budget in time in the planning phase as well to reflect how we expect to earn the work from this task or activity A. So this project baseline is given to you. So cost is scheduled and a planner has developed it. So budget for activity A is equally split in this case to first week and a second, first period and a second period. Then we have a total budget of 2,400 for activity B, and the cost is spread over 6 periods here. Duration is 6, cost is spread over 6 periods like this. That's given to you. Total budget or plan value for activity C is 1,500. Duration is 5 weeks, and this is the spread of the cost or value of this activity over five periods. And for activity D, E, F, it's all given to you. Let's quickly go through this project baseline, time, phased, cost, schedule, and how to read it. We go by each period and we accumulate it. So in the period 0 to 1, we have only this 200, so we write 200 here. 200 from 1 to 2, we write 200 here. From 2 to 3, we write 200 plus 200 is 400. We sum it all up, all the costs in every individual period, and we get period plan value. And then we have accumulated one. 200 plus 200 is 400. 400 plus 400 is 800. 800 plus 1000 is 1800. And when we get to the end, so when we add all up, we get what? This final one is budget at completion, because we added plan value for each activity, either over time or by the total plan value of each activity. So these two numbers, if we add up this budget for every activity, is the same. It's 7,400, the same as this number here. So that's, in short, once again, how we read project baseline, how we read time, phased, cost, schedule. And what the question asks now, it asks to report the end of period 4 and end of period 8. And in your textbook, the tables are given for end of period 4 and 8, and some data is given. Which data is given? Actual cost. That's something you cannot determine, because they are telling you how much you're actually paying. So that's something that's always given in the table, this actual cost. And also actual percent complete. That's something you don't know. It has to be provided to you. So what's the percentage complete for every activity is always filled in the table. It's always given in the table. And then from there, you keep going. Plan value. In this case, plan value is given to you in a table, but it doesn't have to be. Why? Because you can read it from the project baseline, and we'll do another example where we read it from the project baseline. So in your textbook, this plan value is given to you for simplicity, because we're starting with an easier problem. So let's calculate the earned value. Activity A is completed. So percentage of work is 100%. What did we say earned value is? That's the percent completed times original budget. What's original budget? 400. So 100% times 400, earned value will be 400, sorry. Activity B, actual percentage complete is 50%. Budget for this activity or plan value is 800. We are talking about, plan value is 800, but 50% is actually 50% times the total budget for the activity B. I'm sorry for this. So 50% times 2,400 is 1,200. Okay, then activity C, it's 1/3 is completed. What's the original budget? It's from the project baseline. It's here for activity C, 1,500. 1/3 of that is 500. I know it's rough, it's not exact, but it's good enough. And then activities D and E haven't even started yet, so actual percent complete is 0, and we just put 0 in the earned value, and we add it all up and we get a total cumulative earned value. Actual cost is given to you. You can just sum it all up. That's all what you need. Plan cost in this case is given to you. We sum it all up. And what do we do now? We calculate cost variance and schedule variance. Cost variance is what? Earned value minus actual costs. In this case, 400 minus 300 is 100. 1,200 minus 1,000, it's plus 200. This is the same, so the difference is 0. So the total cost variance is positive 300. What does that mean? We are going well. Let's go back to this cost variance. What does it say? If it's a positive number, we are under budget. So that is all good. Let's continue with the schedule variance. What's the schedule variance? That's the difference between earned value and planned value. So 400 minus 400 is 0. 1,200 minus 800 is 400. 500 minus 600 is minus 100. So we're having a slight problem with an activity C in terms of schedule. The total for this period is still positive. However, sometimes we don't look at the total only. We can predict some problems if we have an indication of what activity not doing well. We have to report only for period 4. So cost variance is positive. This suggests a good pattern of a good cost variance that is under budget, and the schedule variance is also positive for period 4. So we are going well. We are on schedule, so no problems there. Let's have a look for period 8. Okay, this is the end of period 8. Again, planned value is given to you, actual cost is given to you, and this actual percent complete is given to you. So go and calculate earned value. 100% times budget. Total budget for activity A is 400. 100% finish means 100%. Times original budget 2,400, that's 2,400. For C, it's the total budget again, 1,500. D, 25% completed. Let's see what's the original budget or planned value for activity D. That's 1,600. So 1/4 of that is 400. And then only 1/3 has been earned so far for the activity E. What's the total planned value? 900. 1/3 is 300. Let's sum it all up. We get a total earned value for the period ending 8. For end of period 8, that's 5,000. Actual cost, you just sum it up because that's given to you. You don't calculate that. Planned value in this case it's given. Otherwise you read it from the table, and I'll show that in a second example. And then you calculate cost variance. Again, cost variance, earned value minus actual cost. So 100 here, 200 there, 0 there, plus 100 here, 0 there. All pluses for all activities. So cost is really great, budget is great, total is positive. So no problems in both of periods 4 and 8. Schedule, 400 earned value minus planned value. So 400 minus 400, 0. 2,400 minus 2,400, 0. 1,500 minus 1,500. Why is this all 0? Because these activities are finished. They are completed. So you wouldn't get the schedule variance there. Just like you would have a schedule variance index to be 1 if the activity is completed. And we talked about that. Let's see further. 400 minus 0, we have plus 400 here, and 300 minus 300, it's 0. So the total schedule variance for end of period 8 is plus 400. So there is no problems here in terms of both schedule and cost. In period 4 and the period 8, it's all fine. Let's compute another problem. That's the problem number 5 in your textbook. We'll just refer to a baseline and we'll refer to a network. So given the following project network, baseline and status information. So the network is given to you, budget baseline is given to you, develop status reports for period 1 to 4 and complete the project summary graph. Report the final schedule variance, cost variance, CPI, PCIB. So we are asking to deliver more. Based on your data, what is your assessment of the current status of the project? In your quiz, it's not necessarily going to be asking specifically calculate SV, CV, CPI. It's more going to be asking in terms so we see if you understand what does CPI mean, what does PCIB mean, what does CV mean. So we'll test if you understand the meaning of these indexes and variances. And that's why the first part of this lecture explanation of all these definitions is very important. It's very important for you to understand rather than to memorize. So again, we're developing a status report. That's the network. So we've got 7 activities, 6 periods. That's the end of our network. And this is the baseline or time-phased cost. Okay, we've got all activities listed with duration. We've got slacks and we've got total PV. So that's the total PV for each activity, which is given in a baseline spread over time. So that is all given to you. You know how to do it by column, add it all up to get total PV by period, and you know how to work out an accumulative cost. So the total cost for our project is 65. If we add this all up, we get, if we get a cumulative one, we get 65, or you add total planned value for each of these activities, you also get 65, and 65 is what? BAC, budget at completion. Again, our planned value, but for the total project. Let's continue. So now this is, I'll just go to this baseline so we can see it, because we have to revert to it all the time. And now you've got 4 status reports for 4 periods that you're reporting on. You wouldn't be reporting on 4 periods at the same time. You will be doing it period by period in real life, because you are at a certain point of time in your project, so you are only doing where you are at, because all completed activities will have variances 0 or performance indexes 1, so they won't be painting a real picture to you. Okay, but this is just an example for your practice. Okay, so what is given to you? Look at in your textbook. What is given to you is percentage complete and the actual cost. Again, actual cost and percentage complete, you can't know. You can't calculate it. It has to be given to you. So in every table, this actual cost will be given to you and percentage complete will be given to you. Everything else, you either have to calculate or you have to read. So let's start with a planned value this time, because planned value is something we read from the baseline budget. End of period 1. Okay, so that's the line here. Read it there. For activity 1, we planned at this point of time to have 4. So we put 4 here. For activity 2, we plan to have 3,000. Okay, but doesn't matter. We just go by 3. So we put 3 here. In this period time and ending period 1, we plan to have 4,000. So we put 4 here. We sum it all up, we get 11. How do we calculate earned value? Earned value is the percentage times total budget for the activity. So 50% times total budget is 12, that's 6. 40% times total budget is 15, 6. 25% times total budget 8, okay, that's 2. Add it all up, it's 14. Other activities haven't even started yet, so that's why we're showing only activity 1, 2, and 3, because that's the ending period 1. Look, there is nothing after activity 3 below, so that's why we're reporting only on 3 activities. So we've got cumulative earned value, we've got actual cost, we've got planned value. Now we only have to calculate variances. Cost variance, that's the earned value minus actual cost. We can see formula here. So that's 0. 6 minus 8, it's minus 2. Okay, we're getting negative numbers, so we are over budget with this activity. 2 minus 3 is minus 1. Again, we're over budget with this activity. And the cumulative cost variance for this period will be negative. So we are immediately over budget, even at the end of period 1. We're not doing well in terms of cost, in terms of our budget. Schedule variance is earned value minus minus plan value. So 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 minus 3 is 3. 2 minus 4 is minus 2. So we've got a mix of positive and negative. This activity is not going as planned. And it's negative, but the total one is positive. However, we have to be wary of this activity. In real life, we'll be monitoring it. Let's continue. End of period 2. So that's the line here. Constantly refer to this baseline budget, end of period 2. Actual cost is given to you. Let's read plan value. So we planned by the end of period 2 to have 4 plus 8, that's 12. For the second activity, by the end of this period, we planned 3 plus 7. Where is it? Okay, it's here. It's 10. And here for activity 3, we planned 4 plus 4, that's 8. We haven't even started any other activities, so we're reporting only on 2 activities. And then percentage complete. 1 is finished. So we've got earned value of the total PV, 12. For the second activity, we completed 80%. So 80 times 15, which is the total PV for activity 2, that's 12. And for activity 3, it's given to us that the percentage complete is 75%. 75 times 8, that's 6. We add the cumulative numbers and we calculate CV. Remember, CV, earned value minus actual cost. And we calculate schedule value, which is earned value minus planned value. Look at this. It's even worse. Cumulative cost variance is minus 5. Previously, it was minus 3. So we're doing worse and worse. Schedule, from positive, it came to 0. Okay, still activity number 3 is still not doing well. We have to be wary of that. End of period 3. Okay, actual cost is given to you. Let's read plan value. End of period 3 is here. Plan value for 1 is 12. Plan value for 2 is 15. Plan value for 3 is 8. Plan value for activity 4 is only this one, 3. Plan value for 5 is 0. We haven't planned to have anything done before end of period 3. And for activity 6 is only this 3. So we enter that in this column. Earned value, we calculate percentage complete times total budget for this activity. So for activity 1, total plan value is 12 times 100%, it's 12. 2 is 80%. 80% times 15 is 12. 3 is 100%. 100% times 8, it's 8. 4 is 50%. 50% times 6 is 3. 5 is 0%, so that's 0. And 6 is 33.3, so that's one third of 9, that's 3. So don't be worried with this rounding in the solutions. In the previous solution we had some rounding. In this one it's more precise. Don't worry, it's only for practice. You won't be having to deal with that. And now you just calculate cost variance and schedule variance. Again, the same formulas here. Earned value minus actual cost, and schedule variance, earned value minus plan value. Look at here. We've got all negative numbers again, but now it's minus 8. Previously, we started with minus 3, we got to minus 4, now it's minus 8, so we're getting worse and worse in terms of cost. And schedule now is negative. We started with positive, then we got to 0, and now we are not doing with both schedule and cost. And finally, ending of period 4. This is given to you, percent complete, actual cost is given to you, plan value, you read from the baseline. Let's quickly do it. For 1, it's 12, 15 is for 2, 8 is for 3, 6 is for 4, 6 is, because this is the line, 6, only this one for 5, 3 and 3, 6 for 6, and 0 for 7. So we enter it here, earned value, percent complete times budget. I'm not going to repeat it. You calculate the value and then use this formula. to calculate cost variance and schedule variance. Now we've got even worse cost variance, and schedule variance is still negative. What is it asking you to do next? PCIB, this is 1A extra here, so disregard that. So, okay, I'll delete it. PCIB by formula, remember the formula that we covered previously. That's the, sorry, it's up. Okay, that's the performance rate of your project. Why? Because it's comparing earned value based on the total budget of the complete project. So not just one point of time. It's actually telling you percent complete or performance rate of your project. So if you do this, so earned value minus earned value over budgeted completion. So what's the earned value? That's the total at the last reporting period, which is 50. So this is a cumulative of earned value of all activities here at ending period 4. That's 50. And budgeted completion, we said how we calculate. We add all of these PVs by period and we get the total budget, or you can have it by here, by activities. Total PV for every activity. If you add up, you'll get the same number, which is 65. That is our budget to completion. So our performance rate is roughly 77%. And then we get some relative performance indexes, CPI. What does that mean? Earned value over actual cost. It means that what does it say for your performance indexes? It is actually measuring efficiency. So for every dollar of work planned today, how much we have completed, how much we have earned, how much we have achieved. So for every dollar we put in, we get actually 83.3 cents. 83.3 cents for every dollar that we pay. So we're not doing well. So these are the relative indexes. They're talking about efficiency. The first one is talking about performance rate. And this is talking about absolute values in terms of dollars. We read it from here. Total cumulative cost variance is 10 minus 10 in thousands here. So that's minus 10,000. And the schedule variance is minus 3. So that's minus 3,000. So we're not doing well in terms of both schedule and the cost. Use the formulas to calculate if we continue this way, how much money do we still have to pay to complete the project? So that's estimated to complete. We know how much we spent so far. We spent 60,000. Our budget is 65,000. We read it from here, remember? Okay, but we're not doing well in both of cost, in terms of cost and schedule. So we can calculate, if we continue this way, we will still have to pay how much? Use this formula and you'll get that you'll still have to pay $18,000. And in the end, our cost at completion, it's not going to be 65 anymore. It's going to be what's remaining to be paid, that's $18,000, plus our actual cost at this point of time, that's $60,000. $60,000 plus $18,000 is $78,000. So this is probably the most complex of all quantitative problems that you'll be doing, but still it's very easy only if you understand all of these definitions. So once again, do not memorize these definitions. Read it in the textbook. I'll post solutions to these problems. I'll post this slide as well. You don't have to be bothering with these estimated work complete methods. That's a little bit more. We're not concerned about that. Have a look at this. Learn. Once when you learn and understand, attempt to do all the problems. I would practice all the problems behind your textbook. I'm giving you solutions to 2 problems, and in your textbook at the back there are some solutions also provided, so you can test yourself, you can talk to your group members, you can do it together, check your answers. That is all fine. You can send us an email if you don't understand something, and please learn what's a percent complete index is, what is estimated at completion, estimated to complete, variance at completion. So all of this is really easy to understand if you look at this graph and look at the triangles. If you study this graph, and if you study terminology and definitions, you'll be really prepared to solve these problems really quickly without any problems. So that is it in terms of preparation for your quiz. I wish you all best of luck.